Hi there, I'm the Mythkeeper. Welcome back to my channel. Hot on the heels of my World Wound video, I'm giving you a video about the demons of the Abyss. This is a fun video, and it is part of my Infernal Demigod series, my Fiendish Demigod series, that includes devils, demons of Abaddon, and eventually will include Qliphoths, Azuras, Divs, and other such creatures. Today, I'm focused on demons. All right. If you're new here and you enjoy this kind of Pathfinder content, be sure to like and subscribe, and let me know what else you'd like to hear about in this world in the comments below. I read all the comments. I really enjoy getting them. In any case, enjoy the video.
This is my third video in my series about the evil demigods. So far, I've released a video on the devils of hell and the demons of Abaddon, and now it's time to look at the demons of the Abyss. The timing is fairly conspicuous, as last week I put out my video on the World Wound, a part of the world where an open rift in the fabric of real space allowed the demonic forces of the Abyss to pour into the world and wage war upon the mortal forces of Golarion. As per usual in this video series, I will cover the types of demons as well as the demonic lords or demigods that rule over that nightmare realm. But first, a quick history of the demons. The first native beings of the plane of the Abyss were the Qliphoths, and throughout the many ages at the dawn of time, their rule was unquestioned and supreme in that ancient plane. However, even early in the history of the Great Beyond, the powerful entities of the Hells became aware of the other planes. In the plane of Abaddon, the ecology of the plane was producing demonic entities long before anything similar existed in the Abyss. To one such ancient demon of Abaddon, possibly even one of the Four Horsemen, a fascination set in with the nature of how mortal souls changed as they reached their final destination. As he looked upon the rims of the outer rifts, he saw the souls that manifested there did so as writhing worm-like larvae. These fat, quintessent creatures, pregnant with sin, seemed to him to be a sort of dead end, vermin content to gnaw upon the flesh of the Abyss and do nothing else. So the demon began experimenting on the abyssal larvae, grooming them specifically to pack them with as much sin energy as he could before finally feeding it to a bound Qliphoth. The sin-gorged larva erupted from the doomed Qliphoth, emerging as the first of a frightful new race. These creations, conjured by the experiments of the demons of Abaddon, are also known as demons, albeit with a slightly different spelling. Grown from the fat of the abyssal larva, the demons of the Abyss outstripped the power of most Qliphoths, and quickly learned how to produce more of their kind. In time, they would come to form vast demonic armies, and would conquer the realms of the Abyss from the realm's first denizens. The experiments that created the first of this new breed of demons were incredibly successful. Today, demons are not only the dominant post-mortal form of the Abyss, but are also the most abundant post-mortal life form in all the Hells. Demons are among the most malign and destructive creatures native to the Outer Sphere. They are homicidal, self-centered creatures that may attack and kill anything for the sheer fun of it, including other demons. Unlike devils, they do not have a natural tendency to form a structured society, because their soul stuff doesn't have the lawful dimension to it, from which that structure springs. However, almost strangely, they are in fact more likely to form social units than the demons of Abaddon are. The central ethos that drives the demons of Abaddon is competition. Each demon in Abaddon seeks to be the biggest, strongest, most powerful entity in its territory, and that makes them very dangerous, but also uniquely uncollaborative. The demons of the Abyss, instead, are essentially self-absorbed, hedonistic creatures, doing whatever strikes their fancy, and among their many desires are the desires for perceived social advancement and the desire for company. So the demons of the Abyss do actually form anarchic cities and even friendships with one another, although horrific betrayal among such friendships are remarkably common. In this way, of all the evil creatures of the outer planes, demons are perhaps the most sympathetic to mortal life, as they are a terrible parody of all the experiences mortal kind undergoes, just magnified and with all the ethics pulled out. Now that we know something of their origins, let's move on to the most common types of demons. The Quasit. Quasits are a unique demon form, formed when a mortal spellcaster sheds a portion of their own sinful soul to create a familiar or companion. When these Quasits outlive their creator, they become free-willed and seek methods of returning to the Abyss, a task that often requires pledging servitude to more powerful demons, so many Quasits instead opt to remain on the material plane, to promote evil and hope for chance and luck to someday provide them with a method of reaching the Abyss on their own. The Dretch, or Sloth Demons. Among the lowest and least powerful of all demons, dretches are just as vicious and cruel as their more powerful brethren. They happily vent their frustrations on anything weaker than themselves. Born from the souls of the slothful, these demons appear vaguely humanoid in appearance, with awkward limbs and slack lumps of skin hanging from their frames. Supposedly, a single slothful soul of sufficient depravity and strength can spawn an entire horde of these creatures. As weaker demons, their lot in life is to suffer at the hands of more powerful abyssal predators, and only a tiny number of dretches ever manage to become anything more. For this reason, dretches are quite accommodating when summoned by mortals. They're usually content to work under conditions few other outsiders would accept, although they'll still gladly turn on even the kindest of masters who show even the slightest hint of weakness. Brimarax, or arson demons. Brimarax are goat-headed demons, having glowing red eyes and flaming hooves, but measuring only about 3 feet in height. Born from the souls of arsonists, the fiery Brimarax continue the work they pursued in life, as everything they touch quickly burns. As a general rule, Brimarax are ill-tempered even for demons, although their spite turns to glee in the face of a growing fire. Those who have survived encounters with these fiends report that they remember the braying sound of the Brimarax laughter as clearly as the heat of the flames or the choking scent of smoke. Babau, or blood demon. The Babau is an assassin, a murderer, and a sadist. Certainly not traits unusual in the demons, yet the Babau's penchant for stealth and surprise sets it apart from its generally less subtle kin. With no need to eat, although most Babaus relish the flavor of mortal meat on their thin, raspy tongues, a Babau can wait in ambush for months or even years, their inhuman patience in anticipating a well-conceived murder also setting them apart from the other denizens of the abyss. Babaus obsess over the act of killing, and take great pride in their grisly art, often leaving behind some form of grim marker or obscure signature, whether it be a distinctive modus operandi or an unnerving token or other profane evidence. A Babau typically carries a long spear or other weapon with which it can strike at foes beyond its normal reach, but given the opportunity, a Babau will also fight with teeth and claws. They are also typically encountered unclothed, because the foul, caustic sludge that constantly seeps from their flesh prevents them from wearing armor. Succubus, or lust demon. Succubi are manifestations of the sin of destructive lust, and they are the most attractive of all the demons, as befits their role in seducing mortals to fall to sin. The concept of gender is fluid to a succubus, as they can adopt countless humanoid forms of any gender to aid in their goals. Lacking a specific target, though, most succubi will manifest in a feminine form. Regardless of the gender they take, a lust demon is supernaturally beautiful or handsome, with curving horns, bat wings, sharp claws, and a sinuous tail. When disguised as a mortal humanoid on the material plane, a succubus whispers into the ears of mortals, urging them to pursue their darkest and most destructive desires, and pushing them into depravity, using magic only if persuasion fails. While mortals often fixate on succubi's appeal to physical lust, these demons can easily exploit lust for power, knowledge, fame, or any other desire as easily as more carnal appetites. Their ability to infiltrate societies makes them excellent spies, assassins, and political saboteurs as well. Ultimately, the succubus enjoys all means of bringing decadence and decay to mortal culture. Nabasu, or gluttony demon. Nabasus are birthed directly into the material plane from the abyss, an invasive infestation that releases the newly formed and ravenously hungry demons directly into the midst of their favored prey, mortal life. Nabasus feed on sapient creatures, but they never quite manage to sate their eternal hunger, even as they grow more and more powerful. Once they have sufficiently feasted, the demons become worthy to make the return trip to the abyss, where they undergo a vile transformation, finally digesting their accumulated meals and deforming further into powerful Vrolichais, or death demons. Nabasus form from the souls of evil gluttons, particularly from cannibals, blood drinkers, and those depraved few who have developed a taste for the flesh of the undead. Vrok, or wrath demon. When the gates of the abyss swing wide, the first demons through are often Vroks, vulture-headed scions of rage who wheel through the air on black wings or dance with the exaltation of their fiendish power. Their hatred for mortals is matched only by their desire to inflict suffering through their horrible screech or their devastating dance. Vroks form from the souls of hateful mortals, who are thus given another chance to inflict their rage on the world. Against small groups or individuals, they swoop down without fear, hoping to play with their prey before they go in for the kill. Against formidable foes, they are just as happy to fly above, using their dance of ruin to cast storms of lightning down upon them. Haezru, or toad demons. Haezrus dwell in the vast and endless abyssal swamps, mires, and waterways, and are equally at home on land and in the water. A Haezru's presence has an obvious effect on nearby flora and water, causing plant life to twist and knot, and infusing water with a foul odor and brackish taste, signs much easier to spot on the material plane than in the abyss. Long exposure to this corruption can cause vile transformations and hideous mutations, and entire miserable communities of corrupted creatures sometimes rise in swamplands where Haezru dwells. Haezrus themselves prefer simple pleasures, and they often waste their considerable intellect in the pursuit of comfortable places to slumber, squealing meals to eat, or objects of beauty to deface. Haezrus form from the souls of those who abused and polluted their environs or neighbors, either through the introduction of toxins to the region or the insidious spread of drugs and poisons through a society. Glabrisu, or treachery demon. Glabrisus are looming behemoths who revel in the act of twisting mortal desires into their ultimate ruin, betraying and manipulating as easily as they breathe. Desires granted by a Glabrisu always come to fruition in the most destructive way possible, turning a wish or hope into a potent and devastating act of betrayal, although the long-term repercussions are not always immediately apparent. For example, a struggling weaponsmith might wish for fame and skill at their craft, only to find that their best patron is a cruel and sadistic murderer who uses the weapons in bloody sprees. Glabrisus are nothing if not creative in addressing a mortal's needs. These massive demons have enormous pincers and a pair of smaller humanoid arms sprouting from their chests, but their size belies their skill at magic, and they possess formidable innate spells. Treachery demons arise from the souls of mortals engaged in treason and deception. Nalfeshni, or boar demons. Nalfeshnis are huge, corpulent, boar-headed demons that hoard treasure and knowledge alike, and form from the souls of avaricious mortals. Few demons understand the inner workings of the abyss itself like the Nalfeshnis, and it's not unusual for a Nalfeshni to see itself as a servitor of the abyss itself rather than bow before a particular demon lord. Some claim stewardship over the fleshy realms that birth new demons, while others guard sites of particular significance deep in the plane's secret reaches. A Nalfeshni's realm in the abyss can easily surpass the strength and size of the largest mortal kingdoms, for Nalfeshnis display a singular gift for managing and manipulating the chaos of the abyss. Marilith, or pride demon. Mariliths are the generals of the abyss, formed from the souls of proud, evil mortals, often warlords and despots. They appear as tall and powerfully built humans from the waist up, with snake tails and 6 arms. Because of Lamashtu's prominence over other demonic deities, most pride demons encountered by mortals take female form, but they can be of any gender. Mariliths are among the greatest tacticians in the abyss, and they have an almost supernatural knack for understanding the ripples of chaos and the unpredictable nature of demonic life. Their ability to command armies rises as much from their commanding presence as it does from their uncanny understanding of the flow of entropy, allowing them to predict likely outcomes to unlikely situations. Vrolikai, or death demon. Unlike other demons, the dread Vrolikai doesn't form from a single sinful soul. They instead manifest from a Nabasu once the Nabasu finally satisfies their hunger and returns to the abyss. And as such, Vrolikai suffer from no vulnerability associated with a specific sin. A Vrolikai who survives this process and the period of vulnerability that follows gains great power, and in time can claim large regions of the abyss as their own domain. These death demons are murderous monsters that sometimes serve demon lords as executioners or assassins. Balor, or fire demon. When folk whisper frightened tales of the demonic, what most envision is the Balor, a towering figure of fire and flesh, a horned nightmare armed with a flaming whip and a sword flying through the night in search of its latest victim. On the abyss, Balors serve demon lords as generals or captains, and they typically command vast legions of demons. Standing at 14 feet in height, only the cruelest mortal souls, those who devoted entire lives to sins too numerous to count, can fuel the formation of a Balor. More often, a Balor forms from a mass of dozens of mortal souls who shared debased ideologies and life. Just as the pit-fiend devils of hell clamor for positions as infernal dukes, Balors can achieve a unique level of power among their kin. Those rare few Balors to eventually transcend the notable power they already wield become nascent demon lords. These Balor lords are each unique creatures who often rule their own realms in the abyss. In time, a Balor lord can further develop into a unique creature, ascending to the role of a true demon lord. Speaking of which, the demon lords of the abyss. Abraxas, the master of the final incantation. Abraxas, the god of forbidden lore, magic, and snakes, is a grotesque entity, possessing a deformed and fanged bird's head and writhing vipers instead of legs. His upper body resembles that of a humanoid, and he wields a flail and a shield, both endowed with eerie and lethal abilities. The flail can extract fragments of a sentient being's thought and transfer them to Abraxas for his own use, while the shield can animate and assail enemies while providing defense. Abraxas is well versed in countless destructive secrets and eldritch magical formulas, particularly those that inflict immense devastation and suffering. His most formidable weapon is the dreaded Final Incantation, a single potent word capable of unraveling even the most powerful magic when uttered. Though Abraxas has a significant following among the Dark Elves of Golarion, one can also find small cults devoted to him in many major cities on the surface. His cult holds considerable influence in Quantium, the capital city of Nex, where they oversee the infamous library known as the Scriven Bow. This fortified stone structure houses numerous rare books, and the cultists tattoo their most valuable secrets on concealed parts of their bodies. Abraxas resides in the realm of Pleroma, an illusory world that deceives visitors with its false paradise constructed through complex illusions. A wanderer in Pleroma may be oblivious to the fact that they tread upon an abyssal realm, as the nefarious region constantly reshapes itself, transforming serene and beautiful vistas with each blink and around every corner. Abraxas governs Pleroma from the spiral city of Jovengia, an enchanting site comprising innumerable library towers and fortified repositories of hidden knowledge. Aldinach, she of the six venoms. Aldinach is the demon lord of sand, scorpions, and thirst. She manifests as an immense golden scorpion, reaching colossal proportions. Her claws possess razor-sharp crystalline edges, while her face bears a grotesque resemblance to a human. Upon her back swarm innumerable scorpions. The cults devoted to Aldinach thrive primarily in desert regions, particularly the wastelands of Osirian and the remote reaches of Rahadum, where her followers toil diligently to allure and corrupt the godless inhabitants of that realm. Aldinach is one of Lamashtu's daughters, although their association has waned since Lamashtu ascended to divinity. Aldinach shares a tumultuous relationship with her sister Areshkagal, and they have for many millennia been engaged in a cold war. By seizing the abyssal domain known as the Sea of Whispering Sands from her sister, Aldinach banished Areshkagal to the desolate blood clefts, and ever since she has been forced to defend her desert realm relentlessly against her sister's increasingly desperate attempts to reclaim what was lost. Despite ruling over the Whispering Sands for only a short time, Aldinach has already inspired her minions to construct numerous eerie desert cities in her honor, hidden amidst the boundless expanse of sand. Andirifkhu, the Razor Princess. Andirifkhu presides as the patron deity of debased illusions, cruel tortures, and sadistic inventors. Her followers take pleasure in constructing dungeons filled with deadly traps, where sacrifices are sent to meet their demise on spikes, swinging blades, and spear tips. Those who manage to escape these treacherous labyrinths are intentionally crippled and subjected to the same gauntlet repeatedly until their ultimate surrender. Manifesting as a towering, alluring woman, Andirifkhu possesses green-scaled skin and flowing crimson hair. She has striking ophidian eyes, and each of her 6 arms brandish a different blade, with kukris being a favored weapon of choice. The worship of Andirifkhu thrives among the Dark Elves and certain noble families in Galt and northern Taldor, who clandestinely venerate her and seek inspiration from her methods of torture and extracting information from prisoners. Andirifkhu's domain within the abyss is known as the Vault of 10,000 Deaths, an immense labyrinth riddled with traps. Rumored to possess concealed connections to numerous dungeons scattered across the multiverse, this treacherous maze serves as a one-way passage for those who stumble upon its obscure portals. Once trapped within the vault, travelers must navigate through its continent-sized expanses, with Andirifkhu residing at its center. It is said that those who successfully traverse the perils of the vault and reach her lair are so traumatized and transformed by their experiences that they willingly become her favored slaves. Angazhan, the Ravenous King. The great Angazhan takes the form of a towering blood-red ape with 6 elongated fingers, tusk-like teeth, and bloodshot eyes. His worship finds its strongest following in the Mwangi Expanse, where his chattering offspring, the simian Charaka, dominate jungle-covered ruins and feast upon the flesh of human captives. Nalfeshni demons also serve Angazhan, though many of them are too proud and self-absorbed to openly acknowledge him as their lord. Nonetheless, in his jungle realm of Avoth Kor, hundreds if not thousands of Nalfeshnis remain devoted to him. The presence of Angazhan in the Mwangi Expanse is of particular significance due to its enduring nature. Explorers have encountered his minions for millennia, and the prevailing belief is that Angazhan's reign in the Expanse predates humanity's rule over the nations of Garand. His favored envoys, known as the Gorilla Kings, have held considerable power in the Mwangi Expanse throughout history. While only one Gorilla King reigns at a time, there have been countless violent jungle tyrants over the centuries, each reincarnated into their simian form through potent artifacts. Avoth Kor, Angazhan's expansive abyssal realm, stretches as an apparent endless jungle along the opposing faces of a vast rift within the abyss. Gravity within Avoth Kor pulls towards the walls of the rift, allowing someone standing in the jungle to gaze upwards and glimpse the opposing jungle on the other side. However, thick mists and clouds often obscure the view. Immense trees and tangled vines serve as bridges between the twin jungles. Both jungles teem with dreadful simian creatures, fiendish dinosaurs, and colossal cities ruled by Nalfeshnis, populated by demons and other abyssal beings. Areshkagal, the Sphinx of Greed. The demon lord of greed, magical and mundane portals and riddles, manifests as a sphinx-like entity devoid of a face, with 6 legs covered in midnight blue fur and pale flesh. Her wings resemble those of a dragon, while her tail takes the form of a hissing viper, from which she whispers her unjust riddles to those unfortunate enough to be ensnared by her. It is rumored that her true face is so repugnant that even the abyss itself cannot bear to witness it, and on rare occasions she reveals its horrifying visage, causing viewers to go mad with terror. The realm of Areshkagal is a desolate expanse characterized by crimson stony hills and deep ravines, through which blood-red rivers trickle. This forsaken domain is known as the Blood Clefts, and borders Aldinach's abyssal realm, the Sea of Whispering Sands, which was once under Areshkagal's dominion. The displaced demon lord frequently dispatches her armies into the desert to torment her sister Aldinach's forces, harboring hopes of one day reclaiming control over her lost realm. However, her armies have thus far proven unable to match the might of Aldinach's forces. It is said that Areshkagal's vast treasury remains concealed somewhere beneath the Sea of Whispering Sands, eluding Aldinach's detection. Baphomet, the Lord of Sorcery. Baphomet is such a prominent figure in Golarion that I've actually already covered him in my Evil God series, but I'm including him here for completeness, as he is in fact a demon lord. For more detail on Baphomet, be sure to check out my Infernal Gods Part 2 video. Cyth V'Sug, the Prince of the Blasted Heath. Cyth V'Sug is a demon lord of disease, fungus, and parasites. His realm takes the form of an enormous parasitic fungus known as Jeharlu, which possesses the ability to extend its tendrils into other planes, corrupting them and ultimately drawing them into the abyss for its expansion. This quivering spherical mass of fungal matter surpasses the size of even the largest planets. Within the Jeharlu, a host of perils awaits, including pallid giant worms, decaying shamblers, deformed fungoid dragons, and various other demonic entities. At the core of this fungal sphere resides Cyth V'Sug himself, an immense monstrosity resembling a tangled mass of fungal tubers, tentacles, and grasping claws. Crowned by a draconic body with heaving movements, it possesses puffball eyes and jagged teeth. Cyth V'Sug can be likened to a planetary parasite that infests worlds, consuming them while incorporating the leftover remnants into his ever-expanding abyssal realm. One of Cyth V'Sug's most notorious minions, the nascent demon lord Tree Razor, recently established his own domain on the material plane following a coup against his master. This lesser demon lord has become the great enemy of the Iodine elves. Intriguingly, despite his betrayal, the Prince of the Blasted Heath has shown little interest in retaliating against his wayward subordinate. Dagon, the Shadow in the Sea. Dagon is another prominent figure in Golarion that I've covered elsewhere. Because of Dagon's close connection with the mythos of Lovecraft, I discussed Dagon in my Dark Tapestry video, which you can find up on the channel already, so I won't cover him again here, except to say that in Pathfinder, Dagon is a demon lord, and dwells in the abyssal sea of Ishtar. Deskari, the Lord of Locusts. Deskari, whom scholars believe may be Pazuzu's most esteemed offspring, is renowned for his influence over the northern realm of Sarkoris. Centuries ago, with Aradin's intervention, his cultists were driven into the Lake of Mists and Veils. However, upon Aradin's demise, Deskari's influence over Golarion surged and erupted, transforming Sarkoris into the accursed and demon-infested Worldwound. Today, Deskari licks his wounds in his abyssal realm, as he has suffered a great defeat at the hands of the heroes who closed the Worldwound. Cults devoted to Deskari still persist, however, and so unrest in the Sarkoris Scar, in Mendev, as well as in northeastern Numeria and even Brevoy. Within the ruptured lands of the Sarkoris Scar, his demonic minions still control vast areas of territory. His armies of squabbling fiends are kept in line by formidable and unique demons, while the tortured land itself still quakes in agony over what he did to it. Deskari's abyssal realm, known as the Rasping Rifts, is a ghastly labyrinth of ravines. Deskari himself manifests as an insectoid being, vaguely humanoid above the waist, but possessing a locust-like lower body. His wings are composed of swarming insects, and in his hands he wields the dreaded Rift Carver, a scythe capable of unleashing earthquakes and carving chasms into the earth, among other devastating powers. Flauros, the Burning Maw. Flauros manifests as a colossal reptilian creature with the skin of molten lava and a humanoid upper body. His flesh alternates between cooling to the sheen of volcanic glass and cracking open, revealing the boiling liquid beneath. Muscular arms hold a jagged obsidian spear, which can transform into a 60-foot-long lash of flowing lava, instantly immolating any mortal it strikes. From his predominantly fanged mouth, thick rivulets of magma, billowing smoke, and tongues of fire continuously emerge. As a demon associated with fire and lava, Flauros finds favor among the salamander race. However, he faces an ongoing conflict with Imeri, the jealous and vindictive elemental lord of the Plane of Fire. Yet Flauros has historically emerged victorious in this competition. Additionally, he is revered by the Dark Elves, especially those residing in volcanic regions or skilled in crafting weapons in lava forges. His faithful followers include fire giants, red dragons, and countless humanoid arsonists. Flauros' abyssal realm is known as the Bloodpyre Fields, an expansive cavern illuminated by the scorching fires of a semicircular arc of volcanoes encircled by an ocean of lava. This molten sea cascades down a bottomless chasm without ever depleting. Flauros resides within the caldera of the largest volcano in a castle crafted from torrid adamantine, suspended over a seething crater by massive chains. Gogunta, the Song of the Swamp. Gogunta, the goddess of amphibious monsters and swamps, is especially revered by boggards. Demonic scholars suggest that Gogunta was originally a Haezru serving under Dagon once, and it is evident that she favors Haezrus as both guardians and lovers, frequently dispatching them to protect or even lead boggard tribes on the material plane, particularly in regions such as Varisia's Mushfens, the River Kingdoms, or the Sodden Lands. Gogunta distinguishes herself among the demon lords through the peculiarity of her realm, which is not entirely her own. The putrid salt marsh known as Mephizim is an expansive area, yet it remains entirely within the bounds of Dagon's Ishtar. Mephizim drifts atop the surface of Ishtar's vast sea, carried along by a leisurely current. Despite its considerable size, the swampy island is a mere speck within the immense abyssal sea. Dagon appears content to grant Gogunta rule over her tiny domain above his own, seemingly indifferent to its presence. Gogunta's cult, in fact, frequently intermingles with Dagon's own in the material plane. Gogunta takes the form of an enormous multi-headed frog with an excessive number of eyes and tongues. However, certain depictions in boggard artwork portray her as an immense boggard queen instead. Haagenti, the Whispers Within. Haagenti, the demon lord of alchemy, invention, and transformation, deceives many with the perception of being less destructive and more rational than his counterparts. However, this illusion is nothing more than smoke and mirrors, for Haagenti is as cruel and sadistic as any demon lord can be. The utility of his alchemical creations and marvelous inventions serves as a subtle means to manipulate the progression of his society. Numerous scholars believe that Haagenti is responsible for guiding humanity's greatest minds in discovering new and devastating methods of inflicting pain and destruction upon one another. While his most renowned secret is the transmutation of lead into gold, he is also the source of other hidden knowledge, such as the creation of retrievers or the foundation of flesh warping. Haagenti possesses a multitude of forms and can alter his appearance at will. He often takes on the guise of the same race as those he interacts with, allowing him to blend in seamlessly among them. Rumors persist that his true form is that of a demonic winged bull. Haagenti's domain is known as the Cerebellum. It encompasses an expansive collection of laboratories, libraries, torture chambers, bestiaries, and various chambers that Haagenti can manipulate and rearrange according to his whims. The chambers grind into new configurations with the resonating hum of colossal, unseen clockwork gears. Jezelda, Mistress of the Hungry Moon. In certain rural regions of the world, particularly around the Dark Moon Vale and the shadowed woodlands of Lozeri in northern Ustalav, the boundary between humanity and the beast becomes tenuous during nights of the full moon. Many religious texts attribute the spread of lycanthropy among mortals to the werewolf known as Jezelda. Strangely, neither she nor her devoted followers openly affirm this claim. They maintain a peculiar silence regarding her history, as if harboring a secret not yet meant to be revealed to the world. Jezelda, as the patron of werewolves, possesses the ability to change her shape. She can take the form of a beautiful and dark-haired Varisian woman, a feral and drooling wolf with sharp fangs and yellow eyes, or her favored manifestation, an emaciated amalgamation of the two. Jezelda's domain within the abyss is known as the Moon Bog. This expansive realm is large enough to encompass a single radiant moon suspended high above. It is said that the stars in the night sky are the watchful eyes of her favored wolf companions peering down upon the realm. Below, the moon bog consists of vast stretches of moorland, interspersed with winding wetlands of bogs and marshes, teeming with all manner of monstrous inhabitants. The deeper and more secluded bogs are often under the dominion of powerful hazerus, or half-fiend froghemoths. However, the true perils of this realm lie upon the moors themselves. It is here that Jezelda and her favored companions hunt under the faint glow of the moon. These moors are inhabited by isolated communities of humanoids gathered from countless worlds. Jezelda delights in moving from one village to another, perpetually hunting, while her minions labor tirelessly to abduct and replenish the realm behind her, ensuring she never faces an empty domain. Jubilex, the Faceless Lord. Among the demon lords, Jubilex is perhaps the least concerned with cultivating a devoted following. His favored minions, the Omox or slime demons, play a more active role in spreading his cults than Jubilex himself, to the extent that it's even questionable if he is aware of his worshippers. Only among the Dark Elves does his faith find significant popularity and prevalence. Those who worship Jubilex tend to view him not as a deity to be revered, but rather as a source of power. Despite the Faceless Lord's indifference towards his faithful, he is well aware of the material plane and takes pleasure in assimilating the bodies of unwilling mortals into his amorphous mass. Jubilex manifests as a formless green ooze, interlaced with dark tar-like ribbons and adorned with numerous large red glaring eyes. His domain in the abyss is known as the Undersump, a labyrinthine network of sewer-like catacombs and tunnels that wind beneath multiple other abyssal realms. Many creatures use the Undersump as a covert passage between these realms, but they must take caution to avoid attracting Jubilex's attention. Fortunately, Jubilex's movements and focus within the Undersump are essentially random, and certain areas of the realm are so rarely visited by the Faceless Lord that other strange and dangerous creatures have laid claim to them. Kabriri, he who gnaws. Legend has it that when the first person to consume the flesh of their own kin met his demise, he was reborn in the abyss. In honor of his twisted act, the plane fashioned a sprawling necropolis where he now resides. Kabriri's teachings hold great sway among ghouls across the world, particularly those who dwell in the subterranean city of Nemret Noctoria deep beneath Osirian. Kabriri takes on the form of a muscular ghoul with pointed ears, razor-sharp teeth, a lengthy tongue, and pallid grey flesh. His beady red eyes, talon-like hands, and hoofed feet complete his ghastly appearance. He wields a ghastly two-headed flail crafted from iron and bone, with each head being a skull enveloped in spiked iron strips. This malevolent weapon has the power to transform its victims into ghouls, and hastens the decay of living flesh. Within the abyss, Kabriri's domain is known as Everglut, an expansive necropolis that serves as a ghoul-infested city and more. Carved into an immense cavern, Everglut is adorned with countless stairways that ascend to tunnels in the ceiling above. These tunnels form a complex network connecting to graveyards scattered throughout the multiverse. Bathed in an eerie green glow, the libraries of Everglut are unusually vast, harboring dark knowledge and forbidden lore. Kostchtchie, the Deathless Frost. Kostchtchie's origins are steeped in brutality and tragedy. Born to Ulfin parents, he was forced by his father to commit the unspeakable act of killing his own mother and sisters. Not stopping there, Kostchtchie proceeded to murder his father as well. As he grew into a fearsome warlord, he entreated the ancient witch queen Baba Yaga, seeking immortality. She granted his wish, but in a cruel twist she transformed him into a grotesque giant, concealing the last remnants of his mortal soul within a magical torque. Consumed by shame and fueled by hatred, Kostchtchie fled to the abyss, where he discovered a new purpose as a patron of frost giants who turned away from their original god Thrymir in search of a more aggressive and warlike deity. Kostchtchie's current objective is to bring about the destruction of Irisin and reclaim the torque containing his fragmented soul, in the hopes that its return may reverse his deformity without stripping away his newfound immortality. Worship of Kostchtchie is prevalent not only in the realm of the Mammoth Lords, but also in distant lands like Iobaria and the frozen wastelands of the Crown of the World far to the north. In his monstrous form, Kostchtchie manifests as a towering and disfigured frost giant. His legs are twisted, his eyes small and pale, and his thick beard serves as a macabre tapestry adorned with the skulls of kings and priests he has slain. He is never seen without his hammer, an adamantine maul of immense proportions, which he wields effortlessly despite its weight, capable of shattering nearly any object it strikes, and stunning all but the most colossal adversaries with its crushing blows. Within the icy realm of Jubilex, Kostchtchie resides in an expansive fortress known as the Sky Scar. Carved deep into the heart of a towering mountain, this stronghold stands amidst a treacherous landscape of jagged peaks and massive glaciers, teeming with a multitude of frozen horrors. Mazmezz, the Creeping Queen. Mazmezz appears as a repulsive amalgamation of insectoid appendages. Her grotesque limbs take various forms, with some terminating in sharp claws, others in powerful pincers, and still others in intricate spinnerets. At the center of this revolting sight, a writhing mass of hair swirls around a roughly spherical body. The only semblance of a front is a massive spider's mouth, teeming with thrashing pedipalps and venomous fangs. Mazmezz possesses a treacherous ability to enshroud herself in wispy, vexing strands of webbing, which she can manipulate to magically assume any form she desires. She particularly relishes the guise of a beautiful woman, or a female drider, when dealing with captives she wishes to add to her horrific harem. However, when compelled to punish her foes or engage in battle, the Creeping Queen invariably reverts to her nauseating true form. The worship of Mazmezz is primarily prevalent among the Dark Elves, the Driders, and the Ettercaps. However, a select few deranged spider-loving humans also venerate her, though they tend to be isolated devotees rather than members of established cults. Mazmezz presides over a hive-like abyssal domain known as Kavak Vog, where her favored offspring, the Bebeliths, dwell within its intricate labyrinthine passages. Mestama, the mother of hags. Mestama, the patron of hags, witches, and vengeful widows, derives immense pleasure from the gruesome act of slaying young women on the eve of their wedding day. By assuming their form, she proceeds to wed their intended husbands, only to reveal her true, monstrous visage at the height of the wedding night. As a fanged crone with sunken black eyes, talons, raven wings, and a donkey's tail, she castrates the husband and disappears. Those who survive this horrific encounter often face the arrival of twisted and grotesque half-fiends, their own offspring, sent by Mestama to complete the grim task of murdering the father. Mestama's cult is steeped in hatred, and comprises solely of eunuchs or women who revel in spreading cruelty through deceit. They harbor a vehement resentment towards rival faiths, such as worshippers of Gerona. The mother of witches makes her abode in the abyssal realm known as the Barren Wood, a perplexing forest teeming with withered and dying pine and fir trees. Decaying houses serve as dens or traps for witches and hags, while malevolent creatures haunt the desolate reaches of the woodland. It is whispered that certain remote forests in Avestan, particularly in Nadal, Taldor, and Galt, serve as gateways to the Barren Wood. Unwitting wanderers who delve too deeply into these realms risk becoming lost forever in its treacherous depths. Nocticula, the Redeemer Queen. Nocticula was once known as the first succubus. and was counted among the most powerful of the Abyssal Lords. She has abandoned her position as a demon lord, however, and instead she has ascended to true divinity. Throughout the majority of her existence, Nocticula held the title of Patron to Assassins and Succubi, a demon lord whose lethal skills instilled fear in her fellow demonic overlords. However, those days have now faded into the past, as Nocticula has ascended to the position of the Redeemer Queen. She embraces her role as a patron of marginalized artists and a protector of those shunned by society. This transformation has struck terror in the hearts of her former peers, as her persuasive words lure them away from their abyssal positions and towards a path of redemption. Her worship finds its strongest following in the eastern regions of New Thassalon, where her powerful exile, Queen Sorshan, strives to establish a nation that embraces those discarded by others. Nocticula makes her abode in a secluded archipelago known as the Midnight's Pallet. She urges her worshippers to extend a warm welcome to pilgrims, refugees, and strangers, while reserving her utmost enmity for those who seek to exploit these open borders. The Queen of Redemption advocates forgiveness and encourages her followers to offer their adversaries opportunities for repentance, though she withdraws mercies from those who abuse such kindness. Within her faith, the creation of art in various forms, be it sculpture, painting, song, story, public performance, or private exhibition, holds significant importance. Equally crucial is the safeguarding of art and the artists who bring it to life. Nocticula teaches that the most profound art is one that challenges, compels a different perspective of the world, or disrupts one's comfort. It is through the transformative power of such art that personal growth can be achieved. Nurgal, the Shining Scourge. Nurgal was one of the first deities worshipped by the Aslanti, when they were still barbarous clans vying for land. As these clans became city-states and eventually provinces, wars to decide the borders were constant, creating a ripe field for Nurgal's worship. Much senseless slaughter was conducted by armies and mercenaries who followed Nurgal in this time. Some scholars further speculate that worship of Nurgal spread to Aslan from another ancient empire in the east known as Nin Shabur. Regardless, after Aslan became an empire, Nurgal's cult held numerous positions of power. Some soldiers and mercenaries continued to pray to him before battles. Open worship of Nurgal was frowned upon among the rank-and-file soldiers, but tolerated by the officers, and secret cabals regularly met to perform obediences and vile rites to him in exchange for success in battle. However, just as the Aslanti warred among themselves, so too did the divinities wage war among each other for influence over the first ancient humans. The Aslanti moon goddess Akavna did battle with Nurgal during an ancient Aslanti conflict atop a fortress in the Maelstrom, and Akavna emerged victorious from that struggle. She clove him in two, and sent both parts tumbling into the Maelstrom. The lesser half fell into hell, and became the infernal Duke Nurgal. The greater half plummeted into the abyss, and became a demon lord that retained the name Nurgal. That is how a full god became two demigods. Nurgal's abyssal domain bears the name Kuthan, an expansive region comprising alternating deserts and dry savannas. Under a vast crimson sun that remains fixed at its zenith, narrow gorges stretch hundreds of miles, connecting Kuthan to its neighboring realm, the Sea of Whispering Sands. It is in this realm that Nurgal's lover Areshkagal once held dominion before her banishment to the Bloodclefts by her own sister. Nurgal is also said to be the half-brother of Socothbenoth, although their relationship is anything but amicable, as they have been embroiled in an eternal war for as long as either has existed. Orcus, the Prince of Undeath. While Orcus does not enjoy a significant following on Golarion, with his worship mostly confined to the nation of Geb and certain remote regions in Nidal, his influence extends far beyond this world compared to most of other Golarion's demon lords. His devotees maintain that the Prince of Undeath bides his time, patiently observing the affairs of other worlds before setting his sights on Golarion as his next conquest. According to his cultists, when that day arrives, the faithful shall be duly rewarded for their preparations. However, the fierce competition for worshippers from the cults of Zura, Kabriri, and the Church of Urxehl likely plays a role in limiting the spread of Orcus's cult on Golarion. Manifesting as an immense corpulent human with a ram's head, bat-like wings, cloven feet, and a long tail ending in a stinger, Orcus is never far from his infamous weapon, the Wand of Orcus, grasped in his clawed hand. His abyssal realm, known as Uligor, encompasses an entire world plagued by undead-infested ruins, frozen seas, jagged mountains, and grotesque deserts and swamps. Within Uligor, Orcus shares the domain with numerous malevolent thanatotic titans, not all of whom worship or align themselves to the Prince of Undeath. The landscape of Uligor bears the scars of an eternal civil war among the Titans, with large regions consumed by their unceasing conflict. Pazuzu, the king of wind demons. Pazuzu manifests as a slender human figure, with the legs and talons of an eagle, a demonic avian head, 2 pairs of bird wings, and a scorpion tail. This aggressive demon delights in possessing mortals and manipulating them to carry out his wicked deeds in the world. It is said that Pazuzu can hear his name when spoken unknowingly by an innocent, which may be all that is required to invite his possession. He is the patron of all malevolent creatures that take to the skies, particularly vroks and harpies. His breath materializes a swarm of locusts, and legend holds that at the dawn of civilization, his first breath upon the material plane gave rise to the demon who would eventually become Deskari. As one of the oldest demon lords, Pazuzu rose to power in the Abyss alongside the likes of Lamashtu, Abraxas, and Dagon, yet his prolonged conflict with Lamashtu has prevented him from attaining greater dominion or perhaps even godhood himself. This fact only fuels his unrelenting rage against the mother of monsters. Pazuzu's abyssal realm, High Mavania, exists upon the side of one of the great abyssal rifts. This vertical domain encompasses a massive city situated on an expansive shelf, as well as the depths below and the skies above it. The unique positioning of this realm grants Pazuzu unparalleled mobility among the outer planes, a freedom he often exploits in his battles against Lamashtu, enlisting formidable allies from Hell, Abaddon, and realms beyond. Shax, the Marquis of Blood. Shax is a malevolent and sadistic entity who takes pleasures in the act of torture and murder, particularly relishing the moments when a victim still holds on to hope for survival until their very last breath. He derives particular satisfaction from consuming the eyes of his living prey, but only after ensuring they have witnessed the repulsive tools and blood-stained instruments he intends to employ on their bodies. In his manifestation, Shax takes the form of a human man with the head of a dove, bird-like legs, and an extensive array of knives and other weapons tainted with stains of blood. His followers typically consist of lone murderers or sadists, often leading double lives as respectable members of society while secretly indulging in acts of violence. Shax is credited as the progenitor of the Babau race, creating them by flaying living victims and imbuing them with the corrupting energies of the Abyss. Shax's realm, aptly named the Charnel Home, is an immense house of city-like proportions, perched upon a gently sloping bluff, surrounded by a vast bog teeming with thorny plants that thrive on blood. Each room within the charnel home harbors a distinct and insidious death trap or horrific guardian. Shax takes great delight in releasing victims into the different wings of the expansive manor, relishing in the spectacle as they attempt to escape. Often he assumes the guise of a fellow prisoner to intimately experience the despair and fear of the victim on the most personal level possible. Shivaska, the Chained Maiden. Shivaska's form is immediately unsettling. She possesses 4 arms and 4 legs, while her mouth is disproportionately large, devoid of eyes on her head. Instead, her 4 hands emanate a fiery red glare that serves as her piercing gaze. Emerging from her back are a dozen sinewy and animated chains that terminate in cruel hooks. The cult of Shivaska exhibits a disturbing fascination with orphanages, and a disconcerting number of these institutions maintain clandestine ties to the Chained Maiden. Orphanages covertly controlled by the cult exploit their young charges for various forms of cruel labor. To maintain control over the children, the cult permits eerie aberrations, often chokers, to roam freely within the premises after nightfall. Tales of monsters and fears of abduction by strange creatures lurking in chimneys, confined closets, or hidden beneath floorboards effectively subdue the child laborers. Shivaska presides over her realm in the abyss known as the Winding Wood, a somber and temperate wilderness. Her palace, the Ticking House, dominates the landscape, featuring an immense workhouse adorned with a colossal clock tower. Curiously, her clock face accounts for 13 hours instead of the conventional 12. The relentless ticking of the clock is sustained by the ceaseless toil of a captive army comprising abducted children, trapped within the oppressive confines of the Ticking House. Sifkesh, the Queen of Heresy. Sifkesh distinguishes herself among the demons of the Abyss through her malevolent motives, which delve deeper into the realm of diabolical schemes compared to her kin. Sifkesh is a unique demon lord that, rather than focusing on physical destruction, rather derives satisfaction from corrupting minds and seducing individuals of faith to commit blasphemous acts, thereby tarnishing the reputation of their religions in society. Her ultimate delight lies in being present with the fallen priest at the moment of their realization, as they contemplate suicide as the only escape. It is during this desperate juncture that Sifkesh seizes the heretic's soul, consuming it with perverse pleasure. In her manifestation, Sifkesh takes the form of a slender woman adorned with snow-white bird wings and disheveled black hair that drips with blood. Her lips and eyes are crudely sewn shut using rusty wire, while her body is segmented at the joints, often severed at the hips and shoulders, though occasionally at other points. Each section hovers independently, moving out of sync with the others. Many speculate that Sifkesh was once a powerful Iranese devil who deviated from Hell's path, becoming one of its earliest heretics. She embodies traits reminiscent of the three major fiendish races. She corrupts like a devil, feeds like a demon of Abaddon, yet remains an abyssal creature herself, a paradox that confounds those seeking to impose order on the nature of demonic entities. Sifkesh's abyssal realm, known as Vantian, is the legendary city of open windows. This sprawling city stretches along a cliff's edge, overlooking a turbulent sea. Socothbenoth, the Silken Sin. Nocticula's brother Socothbenoth has taken over Nocticula's domains of cruel seduction and wanton lust since her redemption. As a paragon of deviancy, he sees the entire realm of creation as his personal playground of pleasure. His preferences, shared by his devoted followers, lean towards the violent and destructive. Socothbenoth delights in altering his form at will to suit his current desires, but his true appearance is that of a graceful and handsome man with long brown hair, pointed ears, black eyes, and adorned with various piercings made of metal and bone. While his cult is strong among the Dark Elves, it thrives particularly in the Ustalavic county of Urxehl. Additionally, Socothbenoth has been cultivating a clandestine society of deviants within the noble circles of the city of Urxehl. Unlike many demon lords, Socothbenoth is highly sociable and maintains extensive connections with other demon lords. His most significant alliances are with Pazuzu, Andirifkhu, and Baphomet, all of whom have served as his lovers at various times. Despite her redemption, he also maintains amicable relations with his sister Nocticula as well. These alliances, however, are prone to transform into conflicts as disagreements and disputes arise. But it is with his arch-nemesis Nurgal that Socothbenoth's battles have achieved legendary status. His grand abyssal palace is known as the Cathedral Thelemic, a colossal structure resembling a city in itself. Within its walls are thousands of rooms dedicated to the demon lord's multitude vices. While the sylvan wilderness that surrounds the palace may give the impression of tranquility, a closer look reveals the rampant deviant activities that pervade his twisted playground. Urxehl, the Troll Father. Despite being regarded as the patron of trolls, the Troll Father is said to harbor an intense and vehement hatred for the twisted giants that share his form. Within his abyssal realm of Varakvian, a perpetual forest fire rages, fueled by powerful storms that rain down to feed the flames instead of extinguishing them. Urxehl derives true satisfaction from witnessing such tremendous natural disasters, and often imparts visions of these cataclysms to mortals, hoping they might find a way to bring them to fruition. Nevertheless, his most devoted followers remain the trolls, who believe that Father Urxehl granted them the gift of regeneration so they could endure his ferocious outbursts and ravages. Urxehl's cult is particularly active in the river kingdoms where trolls are plentiful. Standing as a towering horned troll nearly 20 feet in height, Urxehl possesses the ability to command storms effortlessly, and he is said to manipulate the flow and power of forest fires. His troll priests frequently prepare spells that provide both fire protection and enable them to wield fire as a weapon. Surprisingly, a notable number of chaotic or evil druids draw inspiration and divine power from Urxehl. Although these druids are typically not trolls, they recognize Urxehl's dominion over storms and natural calamities. Xoveron, the Horned Prince. It is speculated by some that the Horned Prince Xoveron can observe the world through the stone eyes of any gargoyle perched upon a crumbling structure, selecting those he wishes to torment. While the truth of this claim remains uncertain, there is no doubt that the monstrous gargoyles of the world revere Xoveron as their lord. Sacrifices made to this demon involve bodies being cast from great heights or impaled upon spires beneath the open sky, always in ruined locations, for thriving cities are repugnant to the Horned Prince. His ultimate ambition is to depopulate the cities of the world, reigning over the ensuing desolation. Xoveron serves as the patron not only to gargoyles, but also to the dreaded Nabasu demons, frequently dispatching them to the material plane to spread his cruelty. Xoveron manifests as a great gargoyle with 4 arms and 4 heads. His domain, Gahatsi, is an immense and dilapidated city situated amidst jagged hills composed of flint and iron. The catacombs beneath Gahatsi sprawl extensively and delve deep, rumored to connect with no fewer than a dozen other abyssal realms. Yhidothrus. Yhidothrus, a repugnant and malevolent demon lord, embodies the negative aspects of time, such as aging, erosion, and entropy. Within humanity, Yhidothrus's cultists are typically isolated individuals, consumed by the looming threat of old age. Desperate to evade this fate, these few individuals turn to blasphemy and the worship of demons as an escape. Many of them ultimately become liches, their obsession leading them down the path of undeath. Indeed, a Yhidothren lich exhibits a notably more decaying and damp appearance compared to other undead of its kind. Yhidothrus manifests as an immense worm, its flesh oily and pitch black. Its mouth folds back upon itself, revealing a grotesque arrangement of a dozen ivory hook-like jaws surrounding a gullet lined with innumerable teeth. Yhidothrus's abyssal realm is not a singular location, but rather an extensive network of tunnels that the demon lord has burrowed through the surrounding strata of the outer sphere. Known as the Spiral Path, these tunnels are believed to connect with nearly every other abyssal realm, and even impinge upon the depths of the other outer planes. Zura, the Vampire Queen. Just as with Baphomet, Zura is a demigoddess who has had significant impact on Golarion, having been heavily worshipped in Aslan, being the mother of vampires, and seeing continued worship wherever vampires are present across Golarion. As such, I covered her already in my Infernal Gods Part 1 video, as one of the first few videos I created on this channel, so I won't cover her again here. She too is a demon lord, and she makes her domain in a mountainous realm called Nesh in the Abyss.